I'm Tony with BishFix. Let's take a few minutes and go through it and show you how to use everything. All right, well, first thing we're going to start out here, right here at the entry door. Our batteries are hiding underneath this step. So right here we have our house batteries. These are the batteries that run all of the 12-volt accessories in the house part of the RV. You should not have to get in here, but it is a good thing to know where they are, just in case you have to give us a call and help us, have us help you figure something out. So right here is where our propane tank is. Here is your service valve. In order to open the propane, you turn it to the left, and to close it, you turn it to the right. Okay, so we're gonna set up camping, and we're gonna want that thing turned to the left so that it's on, and that way you'll be able to have access to your propane for barbecue, cooking stove, and for the refrigerator. So right here's our water heater. You shouldn't really have to be doing anything inside here. It's got a circuit board. That's the brains of the operation. It causes everything to function. There is a drain plug down here. And this is a temperature and pressure relief valve. If you see a little bit of drip of water coming out of here every once in a while, that's fine. It's kind of doing its job. If there's water pouring out of there, probably should give one of us a call. That's really all there is to do with the water heater. We'll go over how to turn it on when we get inside. All right, well, over here on the road side of the vehicle, we've got our water and drain systems. First of all, this right here is the low point drain for your fresh water tank, okay? With the valve pointing to the right, that is open. That's going to drain your fresh water tank. If you want to put fresh water in it and take it with you, you have to turn that to the left, and then we'll show you how to fill it with water here. All right, so right in here we have our water hookups. So if we come on down here, this is a city water connection. Right here. So in order to get water into our freshwater tank is the water that we're taking with us to use if we're camping out in the woods. We've got two dials here. We got to point these dials at these pictures to match up with what we're trying to do here. So right now we're going to try to fill our tank. So we got to have this one pointed at 1 and this one pointed at 6. We turn the hose on, and that's going to allow that freshwater tank to fill. You just let it go till you see water spilling out on the ground, and that lets you know that the tank is full. Then we need to put the dials back in the 3 and 5 position. 3 and 5, that's for normal use. That allows us to use our pump and pump water through our fixtures. If we're hooked up at an RV park with a hose for city water, we got to make it fit that picture, 2 and 6, number 2 and number 6. That allows us to use city water pressure off of the hose. This valve here, even though it's white, it is labeled here, it's a tank flush hose. This is to rinse your black water tank. If you hook the hose up here and turn it on, it's going to put water in your black tank, and that's not the right one to use if you're trying to use city water. It's going to be this one with the label here, okay? Here's where we dump our sewage. We've got black holding tank and gray holding tank. Black tank is the toilet. The gray tank is sink and shower. When we're done with our trip, we're going to want to dump these tanks. What we do is we dump the black tank first. That rinses that whole tank out. Then we shut its valve. Then we open the gray water valve. That helps to rinse the hose out. In order to hook up, there's a cap down here. We're going to remove this cap and take our sewer hose and hook it up like that. Then we pull the black handle, let it run out. You'll be able to hear it and see the hose moving around. When it's done, we close the black tank valve. Then we open the gray tank valve and wait till it's done. Then we close that valve again, remove our sewer hose, and put the cap back on. All right, our fuel fill is right here. This particular coach is a gasoline coach, so don't put diesel in it. And it actually says gasoline right on the lid here. Right here we have a quick disconnect for your propane hookup. You pull the plug out here, and there's a collar here, very similar to like an air compressor fitting. So you would take your hose from your barbecue, pull that collar back, stick it in, and release it. And then there's a ball valve right back here that has to be in line with the fitting in order for it to work. So if you have your hose plugged in, you don't have this fitting turned in line, it won't work. You won't have any propane coming out. And then also, when that's in line, you cannot operate this collar, so you cannot take your hose out. So when it's time to go home, be sure to shut that off. Now you can push that collar back and release your hose. So inside this compartment is where our shore cord is. We can grab it and we can pull it out. These are usually about 15 to 20 feet long. And then we can plug this into a 30 amp power pole at the RV park. If we have it at home the day before we're going and we want to plug it in and make sure it has plenty of power, you have this adapter, which allows you to plug it into a regular 15 or 20 amp home circuit. Just plug that onto here and you can plug it in. You're not going to be able to run your air conditioner if you're using this, but this will allow you to get your batteries charged up and get the refrigerator cooled down. The cord just stuffs right back in here. And you're ready to go. So right here's the furnace. Not really anything you're going to be doing out here. When this is running, you get hot exhaust blowing out of this exhaust pipe right here. So you probably wouldn't want to touch that or lean up anything up against this. And then right here's your generator. It has a cover here where you can get in here and check the oil. You can start it and stop it from out here, but you shouldn't have to be doing that. Just keep in mind, this door has a louvered cover on it, and so does the cover for the generator. And it sometimes seems like maybe on a hot day it might be a good idea to pull that cover off just so it has more breathing room, but just keep in mind it is designed to run with that cover on it, even on those hot days. So don't ever just take that cover off and leave it running on a hot day, because that's going to actually cause it to overheat. Other than that, we should be able to start and stop it from inside, so you shouldn't really have to be coming out here and looking at anything on this. Right inside the step here, there's a few switches. We kind of need to know what they do. This one right here is pretty important. It says main power, and we see the red lights on. If I turn that off, it shuts the batteries off, so nothing in the house is going to work. We definitely need to have that on if we're going to use anything, and if we're plugged in at the RV park or whatever, we need that on in order for the batteries to charge. Okay. Power step. What this switch does is allow that step to stay out when you're camping. If you don't have this switch in the off position, that step is going to come in and out every time you open and close the door. So we want to make sure we turn that on. That way the step stays out, and you won't be trying to chase the step every time you're coming in and out of the RV. Right here is our switch for the awning. So we can go ahead and roll this out here, and it's going to put our awning out overhead. So one thing to keep in mind, this is a 12-volt awning, so it's really easy to operate. And you'll never want to leave the RV with the awning out. If you go out hiking or out on the lake fishing or something like that, you want to roll that awning up while you're gone, because the windstorm could come up and tear the awning off and it'll end up in the next county. So we don't want to do that. Okay, and then right here is the switch for the light on the awning, which is just right here. Here we have our monitor panel. This is kind of the business center of the RV. Right here on top we have our start and stop switch for our generator. So this is a gas generator and it pulls fuel out of your fuel tank. Keep in mind that it's got a pickup at 1/4 of a tank of fuel. So if you have less than 1/4 tank of fuel, the generator will not run. They've designed that so that you cannot run yourself out of gas running the generator. So when we go to start this, we actually hold down on the stop button. And I usually count to about 10 or 15. Once that red light you see come on there, the fuel pump is engaged and it's actually filling the float bowl with gas. Then we can go ahead and start the generator. Like so. And there's an hour meter right here, so you can keep track of how many hours you put on the generator. And when you're done with it, you just go ahead and hit stop. Okay. The next switch we have here is for the slide out. We want to extend the slide out. We have to have the parking brake set. So we've already set the parking brake, and we're going to go ahead and hit extend. And now our slide out is going out. There we go. Next, we have our monitor panel. This is how we tell how full our holding tanks are. First of all, there's a switch there that says battery. If we hold that, The lights light up to show us how much charge is in the battery. The next button says fresh tank. So we can look, we have no fresh water in here at the moment. Black, we have nothing in the black tank. And then the next one is gray, and we have a little bit in the gray tank. So this is how you keep track of how full your holding tanks are. When you hook up at the RV park, you want to leave those valves shut. You cannot leave your black and gray tank valves open. You need to shut them, keep an eye on these monitors, and then dump them as needed. Right here, this is for tank heaters. That's only for cold weather purposes. If we got down below freezing, the tank heaters are thermostatically controlled. They'll turn on and keep the water inside the holding tanks from freezing. If you're going up camping in the boonies and you have water in your fresh water tank, you turn this water pump switch on here and you just leave it on the whole time you're camping. The water pump will build up a head of pressure and then shut off, and then you'll hear it kick on whenever you open a faucet and ask for water. When it's time to go home, then you can go ahead and turn the water pump off. Our propane switch for our water heater is missing, but it looks just like this one here. So if we're out camping and we're going to run our water heater on propane, we would just turn the switch on. It would look something like that. If you're hooked up at the RV park and you don't want to use propane, you just turn this on here and it'll run on electricity. If you're using propane, you'll hear the water heater burning. It does kind of have a little bit of a roar to it, and you'll probably hear it kick on every once in a while, every couple of hours. It'll burn for probably 15-20 minutes. It's just kicking on because the temperature in the water is dropping, and it's just going to kick on and keep it back up to the proper temperature. All right, let's talk about the television system. So our TV's right here. So if you're just camping out in the boonies or something like that, and you want to watch TV, if there's broadcast TV available, what we need to do is right here where the coax cable is, there's a little tiny button on that plate. We push that in, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little light there. If that light is on, it's sending power up to the TV antenna, which is going to allow it to pull in whatever channels are available. Then you would go to the television, go into the menu, the scan channels menu, tell it you're on antenna, and scan the channels, and it'll pick up any channels that are available. If you go to an RV park where they have cable available, if you have a piece of coax cable, you would connect it to a coax connection, which is outside there in the water bay. Make sure this button is turned off, and then you would go ahead and go into your channel scanning feature on the TV, scan for the channels, and it'll pull in whatever channels the RV park has available. So right here's our thermostat. This is how we operate the air conditioner and the furnace. Right now I have the generator running, so we should be able to run the air conditioner. I flip that over to air conditioner. I've got my temperature down, set on cold, and we're going to want to go ahead and put this fan switch over here on auto, high or low. I can switch the fan into on, and that's going to leave the fan running all the time, whether the compressor is running or not. If you put it in auto, then the fan will come on and off with the compressor. If it's a really hot day, it's actually a really good idea to put the fan in the on position on high, and that way it has the ability to help dissipate the condensation that's building up on the compressor, and it won't ice up. But other than that, just use it on auto, set it over here on cool, set your temperature, and it'll do its best to cool it down. With an RV air conditioner, you can't really expect more than about a 20-degree temperature differential from what it is outside to what it is inside. So don't expect it to be 60 degrees in here if it's 110 outside, but it will be much more comfortable than what it is outside. If it's night and it starts to get cold, we want to run the furnace. We flip it over to heat, crank the heater up, and you'll hear the fan come on for the heater, and then moments later it'll light and start warming it up here, and then it'll just run and then get it up to the temperature you've chosen and then kick on as needed to satisfy that temperature. This guy right here is a power control system. Not really a lot you can do with it, but what it's going to do is protect you from using too much power. If you had your water heater running on electricity and the air conditioner going at the same time and the refrigerator all running on electricity, that's really too much for the 30 amp circuit. So what it's going to do is going to allow you to go ahead and use the air conditioner, and it's going to shut the water heater off and possibly even shut the refrigerator off. But that's all automatic. It will tell you what it's doing here. If you scroll through here, see how it says reefer powered? If it was turning the refrigerator off, it would tell you. It would say reefer shed. AC is powered. AC is powered. And it'll tell you how much power you're using. So not really a lot for you to be concerned about there, but it's nice to know what that is. All right, here we are in the cockpit. First of all, we've got our parking brake. You need to have that set in order to run the slide out. Driving controls are pretty much like you would have in your car. Obviously your turn signal, cruise control, things of this nature. Probably the most important thing that you probably wouldn't see in your car is this button here. I don't know if you can hear that clicking. What that does is if your engine battery were to die, you could actually hold this button in and it would include your house batteries and allow you to jumpstart yourself with your house batteries. And that's what that button does. Of course, we've got our hood latch switch here. If you need to open the hood, check the oil or anything, you can pull on that. Typical air conditioning and stereo controls. Well, we hope you enjoy your camping trip. Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, BishFix is available. If you run into any trouble, give us a call, 866-BishFix.